Right up.
Hi, Eric. Could you say hello again?
Might have to. Yeah, just check one.
Hello? Hello?
Wait, let me,
Hello? Testing? Hello?
yeah, Eric is trying to talk. He said.
Hello? 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 Hello?
Esteban hears us and there's Eric.
We gotta hear Eric.
Yeah.
Hello? Testing? Hello?
Oh, there we go. Magic happened.
That thing makes us sweat it out a little bit. Okay. Bring my magic bell. Magic bell. Oh.
Remember to me, huh?
We're here now. We're all gathering in the space, and you welcome everybody. We have a very social and upbeat group here, enjoying coffee and all that good stuff. Sending you some good stuff too. And Eric, could you just say a couple of sentences so we know that the sound isn't garbled?
Good morning, everybody. In Samsara, it's time to wake up.
That's
Hello?
a whole. That's
Hello?
perfect. Yes, perfect. That's a whole other cup of coffee we just sent. Thank you. Wake up call. So happy to have everybody here. I see lots of people signing in. We had a nice snowy evening and you might see outside the window where Rinpoche is sitting, snow covering the trees. Everything's looking so beautiful except for the slushy streets in New York City. So, but luckily, many of us are here, and I know a lot of people are online today. And yeah, we welcome you. So today we will begin with our opening prayers. And actually, if we haven't already, I did put the opening prayers and closing prayers in the chat. I'll do that one more time for anybody who signed in since I posted it. Okay. In the name of being prompt, we can begin with the shade. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll begin with Dechen Barwa. Om Ahom The 7-line prayer. Home in the northwest of the land of Oriana, in the heart of a lotus flower, endowed with the most marvelous attainments, you are renowned as a lotus form, surrounded by many hosts of dakinis, following in your footsteps. I praise you. Come, inspire me with your blessings. Guru Pema Siddhi Home. Home. Yatsen Jogi Nujone Pema Jone Shekha Teki Diplu Daplu Jinjin Lakshir Sheksu So Guru Pema Siddhi Home. If you're made Dorje supplication prayer in English. Rixon Jojo Power Dorje, and the son of this victorious one, Pema Wangi Gal, and Dorje Naksal, I pray to you, bestow the supreme and common cities, embraced by sublime beings over many lifetimes. In this life, realize the view of the heart essence teachings, luminosity, awareness holder, Yume Dorje. I pray to you, bestow the supreme and common cities. The supplication prayer to Atum Delphi Rinpoche. From the beginning, you have achieved the wisdom kaya of the manifest awakening. However, to free fortunate beings having assumed the form of a bodhisattva, O perfect being, you have completed the swift path of Dzogchen, Akshara Yana Vajra, Yirme Teksho Dorje. We supplicate you. Supplication to Atum Pila Rinpoche. The universal Lord, inseparable with all the victorious ones, kind exalted Lama of threefold kindness, Vijayara, Yirme Jinjatso, Atum Pila Rinpoche. I supplicate you. May my practice reach the point of perfection. The prayer to the root guru. Within the Dharma Dhatu palace of Akanishta is the intrinsic nature of all the Buddhas of the three times. Honorable root guru, you who directly introduced me to the Dharmakaya nature of my mind, I supplicate you. In 7 branches. To all the Buddhas, the lions of the human race, in all directions of the universe, through past and present and future, to every single one of you I bow in homage. Devotion fills my body, speech, and mind. Through the power of this prayer, aspiring to good action, all the victorious ones appear, vivid here before my mind. And I multiply my body as many times as atoms in the universe, each one bowing in prostration to all the Buddhas. In every atom preside as many Buddhas as there are atoms, and around them all their bodhisattva heirs. And so I imagine them filling completely the entire space of reality, polluting them with an endless ocean of praise. With the sounds of an ocean of different melodies, I sing of the Buddha's noble qualities and praise all those who have gone to perfect bliss. To every Buddha I make offerings of the loveliest flowers, of beautiful garlands, of music and perfumed ointments, the best of parasols, the brightest lamps and finest incense. To every Buddha I make offerings, exquisite garments in the most fragrant scents, powdered incense heaped as high as Mount Meru, arranged in perfect symmetry. Then the vast and unsurpassable offerings, inspired by my devotion to all the Buddhas and moved by the power of my faith and good actions, I prostrate and offer to all you victorious ones. Whatever negative acts I have committed while driven by desire, hatred, and ignorance, with my body, my speech, and also with my mind, before you I confess and purify each and every one. With a heart full of delight, I rejoice at all the merits of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Pratyeka Buddhas, those in training, and the Arhats beyond training, and every living being throughout the entire universe. You who are like beacons of light shining through the worlds, who pass through the stages of enlightenment to attain Buddhahood, freedom from all attachment. I exhort you, all of you protectors, turn us to the wheel of Dharma. Joining my palms together, I pray, you who intend to pass to Nirvana, remain for aeons, as many as the atoms of this world, and bring well-being and happiness to all living beings. What little virtue I have gathered through my homage, through offering, confession, and rejoicing, through exhortation and prayer, all of it, I dedicate to the enlightenment of all beings. And the short mandala offering. The ground is purified with scented water and strewn with flowers. It is adorned with Sumeru, the king of mountains, the 4 quarters of the universe, and the sun and the moon. Thinking of it as the blessed Buddha feels, I offer it. By virtue of this offering, may all beings here and now attain the happiness of that pure land. Shram Guru Ratna Mandala Puja Vega Samudra Saparana Samaya Hom. And the request to turn the wheel of the Dharma. In accordance with the different aspirations and the diverse abilities of beings, we beseech you to turn the wheel of Dharma, of the common, lesser, and greater vehicles. At this point, the teacher commences the Dharma.
Kadre lama namla zowa de zamne zeve jendu chunye dan tuje londo nyambe dongwa we nado tambara bebe dojo ge korde chogoro zobe longshen ba Dimez Rejabla Zoan de Jagan Gendola Jizende, Dimez Yanda Tutu, Zola Janami Nanjurba, Jimmy Ling Bishabla Zoan de Papa Jidian Jeto Jendo, and the Land of Bedenje, the London Nanjurba, Jimmy Jay Nukur Zoan de Jazzy Gate of Vajabella, Shambe Janjus and Nibis, Jishendon and Dono. Zinjinje lamrazo wande chidra jewe zebo shewala nandra dewe wanchu shawari sawang pachu tunga rangzhe ngen jingme shige wangbo da ye chung. Ganda no ye chung ba ye dewe lebe me zu she kanje jambe yengi te zung che tengdre kunji shige jabo dan yerme chinze wangbo so wande ge san jimbo tembe ze zenba wanda nye jo la me su. 이지지도 매제버죠 우진도 준도 제소한데 지드라 자주치게 나도 지드라 자주치게 로드제 그러로 변장바시죠 상와스제 헤로카발라 니네소도 나지진제로 고자베메 자자리 과제 로드다에 도제르레 연제제메 진nen다에 당 발델라메 샬로소한데 산지경기 진예 이제소 제진 이제 너로 잠비야 Tupdinjinda Gedromboje, Bemadonga Lingbrazoa, de Jamgarazunda, Jerusalem, Savjiki, Midde, Tenadola, Mimbe, Lazanjin, Jurmejiki, Zingila, Ominjiki, Porando, the Zumzanjiki, Oni, Ranzanjiko, Savila Mishabla, Yeten Sanjiki, Jamaya, Kadin Sanjiki, Labikin. La Mijala Zon, then doesn't reveal Najala Jo, Ganda Jojo Tangi, Jidena, the Jalo Marjo, Dindritin Vijay, Chalviji. Semper de Bottom Jen, Derje, Lai get on Lodan de Jingi, Dum Danami, Genanda, walking it on Jizamba. Tam Jeki Doche Jan Tejuro Rodamki Tata. Semjen 탐지기 된도 남신 라남메브르 양도 버조비 산제지고 공원부지 진내장 교버저오 냠바 삼바자치오 장주초도 셈제바당 탑자치오 상왕아기 끊노남바 니기 고네 레버살답데 셈바나워 슈우세.
So initially, before receiving the teaching, we should reflect upon all sentient beings as vast as the scope of space and formulate the altruistic intention, which is the wish to liberate them and establish them on this level of all-knowing Buddhahood, that state of the unsurpassed state of enlightenment. And so we should have the feeling that we're not even going to leave one sentient being behind. Towards that end, we cultivate the vast intention of the Mahayana coupled with the profound methodology of the secret mantra, and listen to the teachings and practice them as they're intended to be practiced.
Adindi daringi ane ngaranzo shepherd juwigi jujadi ane karchagi yorelana tinzin namsum se. Tadi tinzin namsum de ane dabashire lamna de nane jang sa doji tebigi ane nyamle la medu mirungwa mena mirungwa chi pe gechimboji chadigi yores.
So today, the topic that Rinpoche is going to talk about is related to a very important topic, which is the three samadhis, or the three states of in-depth absorption. In Tibetan, it's called ding and zing. So it means going to the depths and stabilizing in the depths. So this practice of the three samadhis, or three meditative absorptions, is to get a handle on it is really crucial for any practice of the secret mantra. Being conversant with the three samadhis means you can basically engage in make sure the appropriate vessel and qualified to engage in any Vajrayana practice. So it's really a foundational, it's really a crucial and essential aspect of the Vajrayana. It's this mastery of the three meditative absorptions.
Di nane chang tanda ta sanga doji tekbi ki ane lugla tekba rinpa gu se shea yorwa. Ta di indi tekba rinpa gu nane ane tanda di tinzin namsung ki nyamsul naya di tsu kawa chagi yorla na ane tama ta di Mahayoga, Anu Yoga, Adi Yoga, Yoga number Sum Yubi Nane, so Mahayoga ki, Ani Nyamlendi Chadigiris.
So in the structure of the secret mantra Vajrayana, there we find that there's 9 yanas, 9 levels. And where the practice of the 3 samadhis mostly takes place is in the, we have the 3 yanas that culminate, right? Maha, Anu, and Ati. So it's more in line with the practices of Maha Yoga. That's where it becomes quite crucial. That's where it appears mostly is in Maha Yoga.
At the end, Mahayoga de la Ani Tapchebe Rimba Dang, Sherab Zob Rimba, Snabani Share. De Nane Chang, and the things in Namsum de Tapchebe Rimbaki, Ani Chostoba Chadigiris.
And so with regards to how the Mahayoga is structured, we have on the one hand the developmental stage, the generation stage, which is related to skillful means. And then we have the completion phase, which is related to sublime knowing or prajna, wisdom. And so the 3 samadhis are part of the skillful methodology of the generation stage, that first part.
Di nane tanda Riba Ramshar gi Ju nane, Ani Karsung Yore Lama. Jupi go ni tingzin number sum stilisung yor. Ta jupi go la yonde ta kerim. Ani tangbo ta nyamsu la yonde jupi pena ngarazo kangwa nang la zuna kangwa nang la tangbo zuzari go cha yoro. Dina shingdi ani tingzin namsum ki cha digi yores. Dindi jupi go's la indires.
So this meditative absorption, the 3 types of meditative absorption, it's been defined in the Tantra known as the dawning of self-occurring intrinsic awareness Tantra, Ripa Rangshargiju. In there, it's stated that the meditative absorptions represent the entry point. They're the gateway to the practice of the generation stage. So it's like a gateway means basically like an entrance point. If you want to get into a house, you go through the door. So it's defined as the entry point or the gateway to the generation stage.
Ta didi ani gawala jugu gyore lana tangbo ani tapchebe rimba de la drogo gyore. Ta di cherim di gyobe ki chungsen diyang ani kandida uji cherim mena medu mirungwa. Ta che mashe songwa ina ani zogaya siyo maro, zogrim chagiyo maro. Tangbo zogrim chawar jawi che do la ani ngaranzo ki june tab cheba di gechi gyore. Cheba dila tene zogo gyore mando kwa tangbo cheba rang ani ke matup songwa ina ani zogo rimba di yongyo mares.
So we have this necessity of entering the gateway. to get things going, to engage in the generation stage, which is employing skillful means, utilizing skillful means to generate deity. So what's the significance of the generation stage? Why do we need that? Well, if we don't generate, if we don't start blossoming, you see, generating, then there's no way to bring forth the fruition or the completion of what we're generating. You see, so we have to start it in order to get to the completion of what we started. Otherwise, we have nothing that we're working with, right? So by generating naturally lends way towards completion. So this is why we need the generation, to get towards the maturation of our being and the completion of it, the perfection.
Adi Tendriki cherim di ani debu zobirimba keagi judabu ji chagi. Adi judabu chayo mesena ta jusena sabundabu ji chadi. Pena ngaranzo ani shiga nangla ani ta sabunche mebaji tapsonwa ina delayang ta chuluk sala luk luk sala luk chulu dweshergi 아니 주젠 상황 상송아이나 곧 디기 대부디 미엔라 대소미요 말와 디나신 나란주기 줄라 케베 렘바디앙 사변체 메바지 답송아이나 디기 아니 대부 조베 렘바디 대소메버 아니 소소기 줄라 아니 대부 미엔라 아니 대선주니요 말레스
So with regards to the generation stage, we can consider the generation stage to be like the cause, and then the completion phase to be the effect of that cause, the fruitioning. So it's rather like a seed, sowing a seed in a fertile field. If we have a good quality seed and we plant it in the field and all the conditions are right, we water it, it's fertile, we add manure and so on, then undoubtedly we're going to have the ripening of that seed, the fruitioning of it. It will grow. There's no doubt about it. We can be confident in that whole process. Likewise, if we plant a seed in our mind stream, a perfect seed in there, then the consequence is that over time, due to our efforts and so on, that will fruition without a doubt. So it's following the same sort of process there. The same logic applies internally, to our mind stream. Sowing a seed there and cultivating it will ultimately bring forth some kind of fruition without a doubt.
Ni di na ne tanda cherim de la te ne karchagi re la na tangara su che so ani so jula yubegi diba jang che do ani cherim di che gi re pena kerim di ke yong besa na ta kerim ke thangi rimbegi su ne ani ngarang su jula ta ngarang su la ngalji gi diba jong ya ane diga na shingi gongale che sha jogi gongje le tiba chongya ane diga na shingi dresher le teni ke sha jogi ane digi tiba chongya ane yang tsugi la teni jungwi gi tiba chongya di kene namba shigi ane tiba chongwar chewe che do la ane tapke be rimba di ke gongyo ta tenri gi tapke be rimba di shibu di ke songwa ina tenri gi kene namba shigi tiba chongne dila tene jego de mingi res.
So in this generation stage, what actually is happening? What's really going on here? Well, adhering to our mind stream is this conditioning and this stain of our past incarnations. And with regards to reincarnating, there's what's known as the 4 types of birth, 4 ways that one can be reborn. And we have within us this obscuration and this veil related to the conditioning factors of those different types of birth. So they've conditioned our mind stream. And now we have this kind of obscuration related to birth. So the generation stage has within it 4 styles of approach, stages, of generating the visualization of the deity. And that corresponds with the 4 types of rebirth. So what we're doing, we're endeavoring to purify those rebirths, those 4 types. And so we have rebirth through womb birth. Then we have an egg birth. Then there's a birth through heat and moisture, like microorganisms, bacteria and so on. That's from heat and water, moisture. And then miraculous birth, with it's like all of a sudden, just miraculously appearing. It's like the gods and hell beings are like that. They just suddenly appear. And so this is what the generation stage, the method of the generation stage addresses, is the different styles of generating deity correspond to the different styles of rebirth. So based on that, we adopt a generation stage practice. So this is what's happening. The obscuration of rebirth is being purified.
아니 깨베 림바데 냠소 랑겐 강사기 삼로 땅탕 저부지 아니 당보 간대지 삼로 땅 고겨래라나 아니 리징기 태바 침비게 람도 슈관 남기 아니 셈 토마르 아니 땅기 중 조시 아니 딱 코르웨기 안나솔라 로독나 바실라 소베기 로토네 남기 타다님의 셈젠 탐제기 농알들의 더르드비기다 세메시 토네 아니 삼도 땅국이어레스
So what should be the mentality of the person who's engaging in the generation stage practice? Well, firstly, they should have the attitude of adopting the greater Mahayana approach at all times, adopting the principles and standards of the path of the Mahayana. Let that be a guideline for one's conduct. One should be aspiring to virtue and have a certain amount of discontent with cyclic existence, and then they should be well trained in the 4 thoughts that turn the mind. And they should also be trained in generating the altruistic intention, which is the wish to enlighten all sentient beings. And so they encourage that growth of the bodhicitta through the practice of the 4 immeasurables. So this is a kind of the foundation from which one should launch oneself off into the generation stage practice. It should have what was outlined just now, and have that kind of basis.
딘데게 삼로데양 하잠 식잠 마임바 아니 장주 딘도 예르기 로이코네 디바장 초 사기 아니 림베고네 줄레과르 종신 아니 다소소기 아니 줄레과르 종네 지당 단당아 단다 태과 튜몽비기 아니 람타르도암 타와당 고바 주비기 수도 아니 셰용베 세나 딘데기 람라 랍송아이나 태과 튜몽 왔다도 제나 산지 토비아가 아니 갈바 탐에 두마 몽불라 가와체 거야 소사 거야 근데 숨겨요 대다른 마임바 다들 사 도지 테비게 람 딜라테네 아니 제비린 발라서 게 툭송아 이나 랍게 체직체 디암 딩기 깨와 다 된다 주둘라서 춘제라 아니 타직도 산지 토베라 니 아니 니바디 촉도 주르와디 안 사도지 디고 라나 메바 코나레 에스 리숭요레스
And so we should have this established, this authentic groundwork, where it's not just lip service and just mere words, but one is fully engaged. One is genuinely giving rise to bodhicitta and not just making mere utterances, but, fully involved, fully inspired by bodhicitta. And also, one should dedicate oneself to accumulation of merit and wisdom, to bolster the path with merit, with that accumulation of merit. It's said that on the ordinary vehicle, the common vehicle, that in order to achieve enlightenment, it would take 3 countless aeons of accumulation of merit and wisdom to ultimately achieve enlightenment. This is on the common path. And so this is starkly contrasted by what's said in the secret mantra, where through the generation stage practice, by mastering the generation stage practice, it is possible to achieve realization in one lifetime, in the ideal scenario. Failing that, you can either get enlightenment at 7 lifetimes or 16 lifetimes. But without a doubt, you gain liberation quite swiftly. And this is really the special feature of the secret mantra, the swiftness of, gaining results.
딘디기 상아 도제 택베기 아니 라나 메바기 람 딜라 주버제위 체도라 아니 람기 시험 싸워디 갈라 차기여래 아니 상아 도제 택베기 싸워디 아니 왕구르 코나다 차디기여레스 베나 사벤체 메바지 수송아이나 데부중아 니제네 데나신 사벤타 따상아 도지 테비기 람기 싸와암시 사벤디 가르차기여레 왕구르와디 차고기여레스 왕구르 코나다 딴네 차고기여레스 다 딘리기 아니 왕구르 용베 세나 왕다 조디 달라테니 중기여레 라마싱이다 데바 왕 라마싱이다 데바 딜라테네 아니 왕다 생이다 덴베이고니 슈송아이나 왕 디기 아니 가라서 주민버지 비 중진 델라테네 아니 상아도지 테비기 아니 람 델라 데코나니 지고 샤디게레스
So in the path of the Vajrayana secret mantra, that in that vehicle, which is considered to be the unsurpassed vehicle, the very basis for it, the very root of that vehicle, is found in empowerment. Empowerment is the empowerment is the crucial, vital point of the Vajrayana. It's like the seed. It's like the excellent seed that will become the excellent fruit. So in secret mantra, empowerment is utterly essential. It's vital. And so we receive the empowerment from a qualified guru, and it should be the authentic empowerment. And when the proper vessel encounters the qualified guru and receives the authentic empowerment, then one's mind stream is empowered And that empowerment will then evolve into full maturation of the mind stream, full realization. So this is really the essential point of the Vajrayana. It really all hinges on empowerment. It's about blossoming that empowerment that we receive in our mind stream. It's all about that, encouraging that.
아니 대나네 단다디 왕 토바잠지 고치기를 왜라나 라왕 토바잠지 고치기요 말. 워나 가르치고 기여를라나 디 왕이 된 왕된 기 아니 이 시대야 공도 뺄고 기여래 아니 디 공도 뺄월 제위 체도라 아니 왕된 딜라테니 중샤저기 아니 담식 아니 대다 탐지 지금 미녀버 집이거네 아니 숭국이요 다 담식이 마숭숭와 이나 아니 왕대 이시디 공도 펠투 말에 된대기 왕대 이시기 아니 공도 펠 마투숭와 이나 다 초단 팀목이 위로 다 제부디 진투기요 말에 다디 왕대 이시디 공도 펠 담식 미녀버 숭숭와 이나 아니 위로 남반이기 때문에 네버도 징계열에 네버도 깨게래 대부대 네버도 토게래 가르니 주 고전매 받지 소소기 줄라 여대 봐라 된데 된데기 아니 대부대 네버 진송와 이나 아니 주다 맹아 냠뇽 이 숨라 템베거네 아니 대부대 토토
주 맹아 제가 되니 숨바
냠뇽
냠용 that's. So is it enough just to simply receive the authentic empowerment from an authentic master? That's not quite enough. That's a great start, but it's not quite enough. Hello? Am I still on here?
Yes, Eric, you're on. I had to mute somebody. It's okay.
I'm on still?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So it's not enough just simply to receive the empowerment, but one needs to cultivate the essential meaning of the empowerment, which is the primordial wisdom that was revealed and we were empowered into at the time. The empowerment needs to flourish. We need to cause that to increase. And so what helps that to increase and flourish is maintaining the samayas, the commitments, maintaining the integrity of the initial empowerment that we received and not letting any of the commitments, any of the samayas degenerate at all. And by keeping the integrity of these samayas, one is to then, that's the conducive climate, right? That authentic integrity is conducive towards the flourishing of the primordial wisdom in one's mind stream. And that will be able to reach its ultimate expression, the ultimate outcome of that, the flourishing of the primordial wisdom leads to the twofold accomplishment, the twofold cities. That is the relative city and then the absolute cities can be accomplished by virtue of the fact that one's maintained the integrity of the practice and the empowerment by maintaining the vows and commitments. So if there's no degeneration in one's commitments, then inevitably one will achieve the two accomplishments. That's because in one's mind stream, the empowerment has remained in a perfect way so that we have that seed is there, the perfect seed will ripen into the perfect fruit. So we need firstly, that primary cause, right? The potentiality there that's been created through the empowerment. So that's the first one. And then we need the support instructions, which are the pith instructions as a guideline. And then we need to have that experiential aspect where we're experiencing it. And so with those three leading us on the path, we're able to then fruition into realization. So those three are integral part: the empowerment, the test instructions, and our experience.
Ati tanda ta kondo shesha jogi wang la hindiang ani dortuna wang di karachagi yore wa wang de la dortu songaina ani bumbe wang bumang sanwang terabi shigi wang sigwang stati nabashi kongsu ani madusha jogi wangji yomare wangina di shigi rila nye tsawar di shila tenne ani sosogi ai wandengi ishi chongya delaya ani tangbo bumbegi wang thomne chewe rimba zoya ani niba sangwe wangi thomne ranglugi ani gobala wangya ani shiba sumba sharabi shigi wangde dela tenne shenlu yani ishi chongya 아니 시바 생활은 것이 될라 때네 조베 림바 남조로 된대기 아니 이시디 정화를 공기여스
So as it was mentioned, the empowerment is utterly crucial. It's the very essence of the path of the Vajrayana. And so to define it briefly, empowerment is of four types. You know, there's in an empowerment, there are four phases to that empowerment. Even if there are many empowerments, it's still fundamentally the four. Everything can be reduced down to the four empowerments. So the first one is the base empowerment. And then the second empowerment is known as the secret empowerment. Then the third empowerment is the sublime knowing, primordial wisdom empowerment, or Sher Byeshe. And then the fourth empowerment is known as the precious word empowerment. So in the fourth empowerment, you know, that's a direct encounter with primordial wisdom. The very essence of the empowerment itself is revealed in that fourth empowerment. So these four empowerments, you know, they address various aspects of a path. So the first empowerment, that is the base empowerment, empowers us into generating the deity, the environment, and also the deity. So that's the initial generation stage. It's found in the base empowerment. And then the second empowerment, that is the secret empowerment, it empowers us to utilize our own bodies to bring forth great bliss, realization. So we're using our own bodies yogically to generate great bliss. And then in the third empowerment, that is the empowerment into the mudra practice, basically, into consort practice, is the sublime knowing primordial wisdom empowerment, which is empowering us to now rely on the bodies of others, on the consort's body, to bring forth great bliss. Previously, it was empowered into, you know, utilizing our own body yogically. Now it's empowered into using the body of others, to rely on that. And then the fourth empowerment is the precious word empowerment, which reveals the primordial wisdom of great perfection. You know, the completion phase is revealed, and we're empowered into that in the fourth empowerment, directly into primordial wisdom itself.
나 되게 아니 조그림기 면도 체버진 개바 될라야 토마르 게림 될라테네 아니 셈 둘월 제고기요레 게림 될라테네 셈 둘월 마제 송아이나 조그림바기 아니 면도티 케투기요 다셈 둘월 제용베 세나야 게림 될라테네 셈 둘월 제용베 세나야 ngami shi jula kene 아니 치마데다 탐제 림버 아니 주고기어 마 도베기 당보 부모 마슈네 상왕 도베야다 상 부모다 상왕 마토네 셰르왕 딘데델라데네 주에여 딘데 아니 주게요 말에 당보 부모한테 디네 상왕 디네 셰르왕 디네 시왕 디네 이거네 림버 신도 주고기어레스 나 딘데 마주 송와이나 아니 소소기 어 개월 제기 조베 림바기 아니 응원도도 줄라 기게레벨라는 조베 림바 응원도디 아니 짐바지 심바 줄라 게투기요 말 가르 주창요 말와 디인데 코르바 신도 제국이요레스
So with this special practice, with the realization of the perfection phase, it's really what's required is that we establish the generation stage in a really excellent way, that we're really thorough about it, that we do it in a complete way, that we can tame our mind stream, our chaotic and confused mind stream through the generation stage. So there's this process here of refining our being, taming our chaotic being through the generation stage. And so we're doing this through this process of initially the base empowerment, where we're seeing our body as the deity and we're training in our body. See, success in the next stage is determined by how well we've established the stage prior to it, right? So if we are doing well in the base empowerment and generating deity well, then we can go into the next phase, which is the secret empowerment. You see, and then having perfected the secret empowerment, then we can go into the sublime knowing primordial wisdom empowerment. So basically, having mastered relying on your own body for wisdom, you can then master relating to another. You see, so there's a sequence here. One lends way to the next, and then having properly relied on the partner and the consort, then primordial wisdom is made evident. That's the fourth empowerment in a genuine way. You see, so it's said that you can't really perfect the completion phase unless you've perfected the generation phase. Why? Because unless all the positive causes are in place, right? If those positive causes are not in place, then the positive fruitioning is not going to happen.
다 딘데 냠소 랑겐데라 상아 도지 택바스 다디 상아 도지 택바기 아니 람라 슈용베 세나양 아니 슈솔 남방가 더부 셰어스
So a practitioner who practices in that way, in a thorough way, those four empowerments and so on, is then known as a Vajrayana practitioner, right? The definitive Vajrayana practitioner. They're engaged in the four empowerments. Now, with regards to this tradition of Vajrayana, there's basically five traditions that are extant. Present times is five.
다 딘데 상아 도지 택비게 람라 아니 슈용베 세나 슈술데라 나방가 슈임바 디나네 당보디 카르레라나 메바 람제스 메바 아니 메바 람제시에디 또다 말한소 아니 딘데기 아니 대신식배기 이시디 소스기기 줄라 깨워지위 체도함 줄라 주버지위 체도라 소 데바 다나 메바디 이시디 고겨들라 메발람체스
Depa, 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 sumdua, depa, oh, dangnang. Yeah, yeah.
당당 뭐 매번 대번 당당 이치
Um, so there's the 5 ways of entering the path, 5 styles. 5 styles of entering the path. The ways that one can approach it. So firstly, there's what's known as through entering the path through aspiration. You know, through being enthusiastic, through our inspiration. So we're using that as a means to traverse the path, utilizing our inspiration and our wishes. So we wish to achieve the primordial wisdom that is within the being of those who have gone to bliss. The Deshin Shekpas are basically the Sugatas who have gone to bliss, the Buddhas who've gone to bliss, and they have this primordial wisdom in their being. And so we're aspiring to realize that primordial wisdom of the Buddhas. And so we're inspired by that, we're enthused by that. And so that means we have these 3 things that we cultivate. Fervent regard, that's devotion, a great wish, and then also pure vision. We're adopting pure vision. And this makes it, by having those 3, we then resonate with the primordial wisdom of the Buddhas. We connect with it through our devotion and our aspiration and our pure vision. That's the way we're connecting with it. So this is one style out of the 5 styles.
네 이바디 진랍 람제스 진랍 람제 라힌데 다 데나신 소소기 다 게림 양니 양도 고 타케 베림바다 가레 공개 예나야 소소이 아니 항오 마트기 파토라 양네도 고명베 세나 디 곰바 델라 테네 소소기 줄라 진랍 랑싱기 죽용게 델라 테네 진랍 람제스
And then the second approach is to take blessings as the way to enlightenment. In Tibetan, it's Jinlap. Jin means like splendor, and lap is waves. So splendor waves. That's the Tibetan word for blessing. So how do we receive these splendor waves, these blessings? Well, it's by generating the generation stage over and over again, training in the deity practice, whichever deity you've chosen, but to constantly, train in identification with the deity over and over again. And in this way, by doing that over and over, one receives this immense blessing in one's mind stream. So one's mind stream then becomes filled with blessings.
근데 숨바델라야 단 남발람제 라힌델라 가르샤고기여레라나 아니 대신 쉐이비기 툭 니수메비 이시기 다 진랍지여로 진랍델라 아니 카도다 이입당 덴데기 남바친 가야 마레데 이나양 라꾸 아니 인루 아니 차생기 남바니도 샤야 덴데기 남바당 직제 아니 소소 라라 소소기 레다 녀몽베데 딕팁당 디메기 남바니도 고미야
딥니 가르쳐?
레년 딕팁디 디마기 남바
And so then the third way of engaging in the Vajrayana practice as a path is to take appearances as the path to enlightenment, to be working with the symbolism and appearance. So it's connecting with the non-dual primordial wisdom, which is in the being of the Sugatas, those who have gone to bliss. So it's that non-dual primordial wisdom that we are trying to connect with. And that non-dual primordial wisdom has no shape or color. And yet the deity appears, there's the appearance of the deity. There's the appearance of their various manifestations and their hand implements. The deities have these, like a vajra and a bell and so on. This one, what's meant by the hand implements. And so by relating to those appearances, one is able to overcome one's karmas and conflicting emotions, and also the disturbed consciousness is purified by connecting with those sacred symbols and objects.
아니 시바디 모란제스 모라 힌데 가르렐람나 랑기 셈기 모디 아니 되베 타 탐제단 달와 임발라 인덕도 족밤 임발라 임반이도 샤과 아니 코로와디 둥알니도 셰바 코로와이나 둥알기라시니도 셰바 데데기 아니 데라 모란제스
And then the fourth one is known as taking the essence as the path. So what that implies is that we're utilizing the essence of our own mind, which is free from any complexity and any kind of elaboration. We're utilizing that as the very path itself. And so we're going to the essence. So we're knowing things as they are to be what they are. We know what's erroneous. We know what is right. We see things as they are, free of any kind of filter in their essential way. So we see through samsara. We know samsara for exactly what it is. We're utilizing the essence as the way to enlightenment, not just the appearances. So we're seeing through samsara and knowing exactly what its status is, knowing samsara for what it is and getting on with it. Cultivating the essence.
ini ngaba de la debu lamdu chebas debu la hindi ngaranzo topju yubiki kudan yishi ani yul chuni di ani sosogi debu lamdu che la di topju yore da sambe kone de la tene ani di lamdu chukjing de la ani debu topju yuba miluwa ani 디 토버 제위 체도라 아니 가르 두고기여레 가리 곰고기여레라는 탑제베레고 제림 대양 다 꾸당 인루 차젠라소거기 남바 마제비 토네 데라 곰베고네 슈네 아니 양양 곰네 아니 소소 두바고기 줄라 질랍주 로아 메버 주고 데라 때네 아니 데부춘이기 된 똑바 조베림바 데라 똑바 데라 아니 debulamdu chebas.
And then the fifth one is taking the fruitioning itself as the very means to enlightenment, the very path. So the fully blossomed fruitional state itself is utilized as the path to enlightenment. So we're utilizing the Buddha bodies, the primordial wisdom. We're accessing the primordial wisdom of the Dharmata, the actuality of how things actually are, the suchness of being. And so those are all considered to be things that you accomplish as a fruit. But we're accessing that immediately at the very beginning and utilizing that as a path itself with the understanding that this is the infallible way, when you access the fruit itself directly, then you are on the infallible path. You've entered into the path of skillful means, which is utilizing the fruit. And so the result is guaranteed. We're relating to the Buddhakayas, the forms. We're relating to the seed syllables, the mantric syllables, and the hand implements and so on. And this, over and over again, we're immersing ourselves in the generation stage again and again in a fruitional way, in a complete way. And so this has a consequence of blessing our mind streams. So we're just being filled with blessings. And the fruitioning of that means we've made fully evident the suchness of being. We're making that known. It's not a mystery anymore. It's fully actualized and made fully evident. And so this is done by relying on primordial wisdom, on the fruitioning as the very means to realization.
Inde ta gurumbachi garsung yore lana gurumbachi gi sung nang la ani dugi ta ngaja dugi tamala sanga ani tsigi tibna den go tu mares ta tendegi den de mago songa ina jilab yung mare jilab dugi res jilab de me songa ina druba token yung res ta tendegi dusu de shar songa ina sanga gi che ani nubia la disu ta nyeru drowashi yongres and sungyeres.
So what did Gurumbache have to say about all these approaches in the future? Gurumbache made a prediction saying that in the during the end times of the Kali Yuga, the time of the 5 types of degeneracy, that means like degeneracy of intellect and merit and so on, everything's degenerated in this time, that there will be a failure to understand the words of the Vajrayana. And failing in understanding the words, there will be a lack of comprehension of the meaning. And by not comprehending the meaning, there will be a lack of blessings. And because the blessings are deficient, there will be no realization. And so in this environment, with a lack of realization and not comprehending things properly, the secret mantra then declines. So we're at a declining time in history for the secret mantra.
In the tanda de control lote thayegi ani kerim gi tijiyo. De nang la de garsung yore la tanda gurumbuchi gi sungi ta disu di tan tingsan insares. Angiya kondo shusha ju gurumbuchi sungdi. Karrela na tingsangi disu dela ani tsama ngakla shukla ta ngaklam la shukya la ta sanga doji tebi ki nyamlen cheya la lomgi res sanga doji tebi ki nyamlen chetu dhugu re chigi
La sanga ki lamla la
sanga ki lam
froze.
ani sanga ki lam la shukbar lomgi res shugi yosa ina yang tangi ya kondo nge shusha jogi ani tekwa chenpe ki lamla shuksul namba nga jido didi lamba tekwa chenpe lamla shuksul namba nga ji shuyimba didi ming tsamji rem ki ani deyo ngoma nyamsu langkindi pe nyung res didi sungyo res.
So with regards to the generation stage practices, the great master Jamkong Kongtrul Lodro Tai wrote a commentary on the practice of generation stage, and he cited Guru Rinpoche's prediction about in the future, at the time of the 5 degeneracies, that things would decline, and Jamkong Kongtrul noted. He observed that he said, well, we're probably in those times right now. from what I'm observing, he said, Jamgon Control was saying that, these 5 approaches that were just mentioned earlier on, 5 traditions or the approaches of the Vajrayana, that mostly that will be pretend, that people will adopt a kind of outer semblance of it, but internally they're missing the point, and it will be merely like adopting a label. There'll be just simply the name of the practice, but the very few will fathom the inner meaning of what's happening. It's mostly just going through the motions, wearing the costumes and so on, but not really fathoming the internal meaning. That's why there's a decline. Very few will get to the real meaning.
이게 된다디 가르라나 아니 kerim delaya so mi grim na kerim ani dela samlo matanje ani dingsan dusula mangje tangala pena nyamba tobuji tango gye na yang ta tangye tanga dela so sum digi kerima mi grim dela ani samlo tange pe nyung cha di years dela tene sangagi nyamsu la dela ani ta 메바 삼제 마토 베기 뎨응메바 타 당기야 콘도 슈샤죠 남발 람지디 루트기요마 데인데 장가치불라 숭데기여레스 마체
So, so what's being mentioned here, when you say that missing the point, the inner meaning of, the gist of the practice, the spirit of the practice, kind of missing what that is. You can observe it these days when, people are doing the generation stage practices. There's instead of focusing on the visualization, which is really the crucial point, they're kind of emphasizing the count of the mantra, getting caught up in numbers, kind of addicted to numbers. And so really missing the point, counting away on their mala, the numbers, but sort of disregarding the visualization. And so in this sense, it's kind of like the first approach, which is a wishing approach, aspiration, hoping for something, but not really engaging in the proper dynamic. So it's filled with hopes. In Tibetan, that's called mepa lamkir, hoping for something to happen. Really, what needs to happen is that a style of approach which was mentioned earlier on, that is utilizing the appearances, the symbolism, connecting and identifying with the symbols, decoding the symbols, and utilizing that as a path. That's the proper way to engage in deity practice. Properly visualizing it and appreciating that symbolism, immersing oneself in it, as opposed to just mumbling the mantra, not paying attention to the visualization, but sort of getting ambitious about big numbers.
That's all the kevi rimba di kangla jubi shita which samlo tang songaina karchen kerim di che gugyorela na ani kerim delaya 아니 계획이 금센데 가르라나 나랑도 줄라에 비기 디바 장아이치들이 대양 디바 장자제 장자디 가래 디바 딱조 아니 날게당 공개적으로 인디기 디바 장아이치 이 종아리 제위기 종제디 가르차기열에 다 마하요가 저부지 삼로 땅송아이나 다 그런 게임기 티 대다 탐진나요. 티 대다 탐진나요. 초가 아니 뇌장 나제라서 초가 숨게라서 봐라. 이제 거네 봐. 아니 종아리 제바다. 이 장위기 딱 장위기 대부디 아니 가르차기열라나 아니 조베리바 톰니 다 구숨 시 공알아서 봐. 제발 뭔도 줄셔야죠. 이제 저기 자기요.
So, so the expressed reason why we have the generation stage is kind of the groundwork, the Vajrayana, is because of the obscurations in our mind stream of the various types of rebirth. And so that's what needs to be purified, is the obscurations in our mind streams related to the different types of rebirth that we've taken place. Womb birth, egg birth, heat and water, and the miraculous type of birth. So that's what we're remedying. You know, that's the practice is a purifying agent that would purify those veils of the different types of rebirth, conditioning from negative conditioning that one has accrued through rebirth. And so this is what the Mahayoga is all about. You know, the teachings on the Mahayoga talk about the different types of generation stage that address the different types of rebirth. And that if one purifies, you know, there's what's known as the generation stage practice of the taking on the three types, purifying the three types of rebirth and so on. It's more extensive ones and the briefer ones that address that. And so by purifying what needs to be purified, one then experiences the fruitioning. And the fruitioning is that perfection, the completion, the perfection of our mind stream, which culminates in the realization of the three kayas of enlightenment, the three Buddha bodies, or the five kayas of enlightenment, are fully made evident and completely actualized. So that's the end result of that whole process of the generation stage.
아니 케베림바기 제부 땐당 땜바 제부 땐당 땜비 친구를 제벌 제외 체도라 아니 갈고게열라나 주 땡이즈 숨기 코고게열에스
Gonda de chiasha mumchiki song demdan demba yanchi sonanda.
간다디 게림 아니 제부 땐당 땜바 케벌 제외 체도라 아니 주 땡이즈 숨기 코고게열에스
Ju ya sik tama sonanda. They ju kare.
제부 땐당 땜바 케벌 제외 체도라 주 땡이즈 숨기 코고게열에스
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So in this endeavor to create the support and that which is supported, that basically means the support is the mandala and the supported is the deity that occupies that mandala in the generation stage. In order to bring that about, we need to engage in the three samadhis, the three types of meditative absorption.
인데 다단다디 지랑 띵인진 넘버 숨기 띵진 남 숨기 고네 아니 케베림바디 파 죽게림데 조 땡게림 만도 조그림 qabla 띵진 남 숨디 계좌 용고요 띵진 남 숨 게메레 콜라 갈라나 조디 다 게림기 왕도 아니 띵진 남 숨기 고네 셰고요
So this topic of the three samadhis only really takes place in the generation stage. That's when we utilize those three samadhis. In the completion phase, that they're not related to. That's not part of the completion phase. It's the part of the beginning part of generation only.
다디 띵진 넘버 숨 셰용 베세나 띵진 넘버 숨데 가르레 람나 당보 대신 니기 띵인진지 아니 니바데라 군두 나와의 띵인진지 아니 숨바데라 주의 띵인진세
So the three samadhis are, to start with, there's the samadhi of the suchness as it is, deshinyi, right? So that's suchness as it is. And then the second samadhi is the all-illuminating samadhi. And then the third one is the samadhi of the seed potential.
Tati tanda di tenzi tengenzi namba sumdi tanga zo kerim gomyong besa na kerim de la ku chakje nanjur se ta dendi ku chakje nanjur gombar jewi chedo la tangbo ani sosu gi jula tengenzi namba sumgi kone ani kok tuku gyo res.
So with regards to the three samadhis, they're part of what's known as the mudra of the yoga of the deity. So that's basically means the expression of the arising of the deity. And so the deity basically is given birth to, arises out of the state of the three samadhis. It's a product of the three samadhis. It issues forth out of the three samadhis. So it's given birth to by the three samadhis.
Tadi tenzen namba sumbu de pe le lagu jen samlo tang songai na harre la na tangbo deshin yigi tengen la hindi tongni re. Ani nyeba kundu nawe tengen la hindi nyingje re. Ani sumba jui tengen la hindi ani tongni da nyingje ni sumdu chukwa de la samlo tang gu res.
Now, a really easy way to comprehend what's meant by the three samadhis, to make it evident in a simple way, would be to think of them as the first one, the samadhi of suchness, as it is basically meditation on the emptiness. And then the second samadhi, which is the all-illuminating samadhi, is basically a meditation on compassion. It's the state of compassion. And then the third one, the samadhi of the seed potential, is basically the unity of both emptiness and compassion. That's a simple way to comprehend these three samadhis.
De tangbo tongni la hindi ta deshin yigi tengen la hindi tanda de kondro rumbuche gi kerim gi tina la karsung yore la na ni da dang shengi nangwi gi ani siba khamzong korwa inayanda nyangen le debi gi chue inayanda deda tamje tongni twede rangjung gi ishi ani sungzen tsema deba namki ingda nyam
Gonda Doni.
chue tamje
I'm not sure. Am I the only one experiencing this?
Anybody else out there having trouble? I see Lama, Carol, and David. Do you hear very well? Give a thumbs up if you hear. Oh, Esteban, you're here. Okay, good. So, Eric, it seems that everybody else is okay.
It's breathing on my end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's. Yeah. Here. Try it again. Oh yeah. There. Then jamgon control. Then the song do what dark down shengi. Comes from Korwa. Now 직샤링도 디 직송을 난다. 무투네.
나세
아디
코르
투투 어 나세
나세
코르데
나세 코르데기 아니 최 탐제 동니 쯔쯔 랑중기 이시 아니 송진 세말레 데바 남키 인다고 냠도 녜시 제샤주들라 센진 가영 미미빠 아니 동반이 또샤주들라 아니 가르송겨레 대신이기 띵인진 데르송겨레스
so with regards to this emptiness, being the suchness of being, Jamgon Kongtrul, in his commentary on the generation stage, talked about that samadhi, saying that the appearances that appear to oneself and all sentient beings, that is, the appearances of the three levels of cyclic existence, and even the appearances of the transcendence or the state of nirvana, all of that is in essence nothing other than emptiness itself, and exemplifies naturally occurring primordial wisdom, free of the characteristics of clinging to subject and object, really like the reality of a wide open space. And so that's how Jamgon Kongtrul defines this first samadhi of suchness, where there's no overt characteristics phenomena to fixate on. There's no reference points at all. It's like a wide open, clear sky. That's the suchness of phenomena samadhi.
아니 디 나네장 아니 대신이기 띵인진 라힌디 나랑족이 지당 삼로 땅 송아이나 동니 라힌디야 죄비 타탐제단 달와 아니 단다 우마 전부나네 시샤족이 죄비 타 제단 달와 데라 동니 샤기로 네 제가 나신기 단다 셰친 저부지 나네 셰송아이나 디숨 개위 윰 라힌디 아니 디랑 샤디기로 베나 prasam jume shara prochins mache mika pa namki ngoni so rangrik ishi choyolwa disum geyum la chasalo la hindi ani tongni ti chadi gyore tian dishini gi tingin jin di chadi gyores
So in this fashion, Jamgon Kongtrul talks about the suchness of phenomena, suchness as it is, as being equivalent to emptiness. Emptiness is that state free of any kind of elaboration. In the teachings of the Madhyamika, this emptiness is defined as being free of the 8 extremes. And so that being free of the 8 extremes is the definitive emptiness. And that's what's referred to in this first samadhi, is that emptiness itself. In the teachings on transcendent wisdom, in the Prajnaparamita teachings, it's defined as being the great mother beyond the 3 times. And so that the great mother beyond the 3 times is perfectly equivalent to this first samadhi or the emptiness. In those teachings on the transcendent wisdom of the Prajnaparamita, there's a quote from there that says, inexpressible, inconceivable, ineffable, transcendent wisdom gone beyond, unborn and unceasing. It is the domain of primordial wisdom, transcendent wisdom gone beyond. I pay homage to Great Mother.
니 단다디 юм제모 샤랍기 버릇 침바 나라 쑥 동보 동반이 쑥소 동반이래 저 쑥시엔 마이노 근데 대다 탐제다 동니니도 땡라 팝샤 주저로 내가
So,
탐 대신이 이 땡인진데 샤되기 그래서
so, in those teachings of the Great Mother, transcendent wisdom gone beyond, there's another quote in there. It says, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Other than emptiness, there is no form. Other than form, there is no emptiness. So this perfectly illustrates the reality of emptiness, which is equivalent to this first samadhi of the suchness of all phenomena.
take a break.
Hey, everybody, so we'll take a 15-minute break and we will see you at 10:45 Eastern Time. Thank you. Welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. Global Sangha. Everybody is working their way back in.
당하랑 단다디 띵진 넘버 숨나네 대신이 띵인진 라인디 셰디기요레 다디 아니 마무티 토티 셰인스
알았어, 양채송하나? 네.
다다나라스 다나 토티니 대시 띵진 넘버 숨나네 대신이 띵인진 라인디 셰디기요레 아디 다 대신이 띵인진 라인디 아니 간디라고 짐바디 아시기인스
So we'll continue now with the discussion on the first samadhi, that is the samadhi of the suchness of all phenomena, and describe it a little bit more.
다디 대신이 띵인진 게림디 아니 개용배체나 삼로는 지당 동일해대 이나야 삼로 땅용배체나 단다디 달하 고명배체나 초위기 하곰탕당 아니 시위기 하곰탕 남바디 타대유비 중생들라 때네 다 초위기 하고명배체나 아니 대신이기 띵인진디 동이 간디정지를 삼당고기열에 스티커
So this samadhi of the suchness of phenomena, as it was said, is really akin to the state of emptiness. It's really a state of emptiness. But how this state of emptiness generates the deity is different in accordance with which kind of deity is being generated, whether it's a wrathful deity, intense deity, or a peaceful deity. It functions a bit differently. So to start with, we'll talk about how it functions with a wrathful deity, giving rise to the wrathful deity of that state of emptiness.
아디 지당 삼로 땅탄디 간디rel라나 다 최탐제 안 되네랑 신기 마투바 임바니 지바레 이 나네장 아니 뇌진 세미기 쭈베기 탐제단 잘와 동반이 디잉앙레 춘이 랑잉앙도 네베코네 춘이 디잉앙네 아니 초위기 넘버 템바스 이제저지 섬당고기 그랬어
So in a general way of thinking about it, all phenomena lack inherent existence, so they're empty. They're free of any kind of fixation on alleged true existence with true characteristics. It's free of that. So in the state of emptiness, there's the suchness of that emptiness. Chunyi, it's the suchness of it. And so that suchness bodies forth as a wrathful deity. That state of suchness is manifesting as a wrathful deity.
인데 단다디 나 푸르비기 아니 주 자위기 주대단 가르숭여를라나 대신이기 띵인진 라인데 도르지 최베 셰당 쥐세 춘이 낭기 다빌 롱 송진 체마 미네바 number tabe kosumo stela omshniada la hindi tongni hindi
dorje oh yeah, just shadang chuni dakbe
chuni ngang no
La, chuni takpe? Long?
춘이 낭기 답빌롱
Oh. Mm-hmm.
춘이 낭 낭도 내신도 디낭내야 죄샤지들라 아니 델라야 송전 세마미네바 델라틴 동니 옴슈네다라 힌데다 동니라 비어로
How this is defined in the root tantra of Vajrakalaya, this meditation on the suchness of phenomena, this first samadhi. In the root tantra, it says, Vajra anger, the Vajra wrath cuts through anger. In the immediacy of the purity of the suchness phenomena, in that immediacy, suchness dawns as the wrathful one. It's free of fixation on subject and object. It's the realization of shunyata, emptiness.
dine danda de kamagi junjo choi nane 아니 이신이 띵인진 라인데 간지자고 송여래라나 에마호 모사르 메기 추스 족베 산지 균이 상
Zope sanji gona zope sanji kungi sang zope sang lafta.
예와 멜레 탐제 제스 제바 니나 제와 메
Lasa.
근데 초이 나라다 딘데자고 송여래 단다디 이 가르송겨라나 된다 고마디 최탐지 제와요 말레스 이내 최탐지 제와레스 제바 데랑 제와 메바레 제와 메바 데랑 제바니레스 도르두나 딱 당기 윰체모 셰라비 파르드 침바 난기 된다 슈조난신 쑥 동바니 쑥소 동바니 레전 쑥셴 마이노 데랑 동바 딘데저부지라 최탐지 동바니데 데나 파바데 라숭게
In the long tradition, that is the Kama tradition, the ancient tradition, in this tantra known as the wrathful magical display, in there's a quote that says, Emaho, oh wondrous, this amazing unexcelled dharma is the perfection of all the Buddhas. It is the secret of all the Buddhas. From the state free of birth, everything is born. In the birthless, all is born. And so the meaning of this quote from the magical display of the wrathful ones is that all phenomena are basically unborn. Being unborn, everything is born from the unborn. And so now we need to make reference to that quote from the Transcendent Wisdom Gone Beyond, Sherpa Parutjemba. In there, it says, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Other than form, there is no emptiness. Other than emptiness, there is no other form. So we need to refer to that to decode what is meant by unborn dharmas. Being born from the unborn. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Other than form, there is no other emptiness. One needs to refer to that to decode what's meant by the unborn.
인디 단기기 시그널라 니 제와 메바니 제바디야 저 메바레 저 메바디야 탐지 개바레 송양 되는데 다 대다고 나샤 저기 최 탐지 미믹 저바단 저에 동관이도 공부 그래 다 대신이기 땡인진 라인들
So what's expressed here is that in the very non-arising, unborn, all are born. So yeah, out of that great state of non-arising, everything arises. So that refers to this state of emptiness, which is free of any kind of reference point. So that emptiness free of reference point is that in-depth meditative absorption on the suchness of all phenomena.
아니 도르제 셈바 준주 자위기 주나네 아니 간데 숭여를라나 아니 코로와다 냥엘레 데비기 최 탐제 예 데마니네 마제바 마가과 동반이기랑 신레스 딘데 숭여레스 동반이기랑 신레스
Makieba, makakba, makieba chikche, makakba niche, dene sumba dikare. Makieba, makakba, sumba.
동반이기랑 신레스
Oh yeah, Doni Ranshi. In this Tantra Vajrasattva, known as the Tantra of the Magical Net, it says that samsara and nirvana, the state of transcendent state, are primordially free of arising and ceasing, and they're in the nature of emptiness.
아니 까마게 단다 준주 시와다도 준주 시와나라 아니 단다 대신이기 땡인진 라인 간지적으로 숭여래라나 아니 뇌보다 뇌보 매비기 최탐제 아니 마삼 율레대바 아니 대신이기 잉암 이신델라 아니 나위기 최탐제 미과매바 미믹싱 아니 저바단 저완델라 동반이도 삼로당아이델라 대신이기 땡인진스라기여레스
In the long tradition of the Kama tradition, in the Tantra known as the peaceful magical display, prior to this we had the wrathful one, so this is the peaceful wrathful display. This meditation on the suchness of phenomena is defined as being free of substance and substancelessness, free of being a substance and non-substance, beyond expression and completely inconceivable, beyond objects, beyond the intellect, is this space of primordial wisdom, free of any kind of reference point, free of any kind of elaboration and complexity. That is properly identified as being the samadhi of suchness.
다들 대신이기 땡인진 델라야 아니 장자데 가레 장고기여래라나 대신이 뭐마셔봐 동반이도 또마투긴 마도 아니 마랑수기 줄라 예샤주기 박샤 신도 차위기 차데 아니 장자샤고 다디 장위기 제부디 가르래라나 최탐제 저바단 저위기 시 산지 취직부디 아니 장위 제부디 샤고 다디 장신들라데 장월 제부디 토벌 제위 체들라 디 종켄 디 메바땅켄디 가르 메바땅 고기열에 대신이 뭐마시비기 박샤 신도 차와디 바 메바 땅고 디 메바 땅힌디 가래 최 탐지 동신 다 메바 곰바디 차고 그래스
So what does this samadhi, in-depth meditative absorption, purify? Well, it purifies our ignorance with relation to the suchness of all phenomena. It banishes that. It helps to clarify the state of emptiness, the realization of emptiness. And this meditative absorption on the suchness of phenomena overcomes the extremely subtle habitual tendency to not see phenomena as they are. So there's this indwelling, very subtle habitual pattern is purified. And so what is the result of this purification? Well, it results in realization of primordial wisdom free of any complexity, and there dawns the realization of the Dharmakaya. This realization of the Dharmakaya comes directly as a consequence of realizing the suchness of phenomena. The fact, and then getting rid of this very subtle habitual tendency. So what is the real genuine purifying agent here is the realization of emptiness and no self. That's what does the job. That's what brings us a full realization of suchness as it is realization of no self or no egoic self, and realization of emptiness.
아디 최 탐지 동신 다 메버 공고그래 송영배사나 최 탐지라 힌데 가르레라마 보러와다 양엘레디 베기 최 탐지 대 최 탐지 딘데기 최 대양 다 메버 간지 공고게레라나 샘당 이시기라는 잠레 마도 베기 셴도 아니 두샤주지 두자메 요마리 다 딘데기 최 데라 아니 다음에 단 다도 두바 마임바 다음에니도 고 아니 이시대양 안 로스 주바지 두샤지 여베 여르벨란 디에요 말 디양 랑기 셈기 춘일레 셴도 마미 빠레 아니 딘데기 랑기 셈기 춘이들레 셴도 마미 빠디양 다다 라레 남기 셈기 안 네루 모마시니 마란조 셈디 코라 참디기요레 모시는 셈기 춘이디 차디기요 딘디기 셈기 춘이디 동신 다메바 살와 각반메바 아니 제와메바 주비 세마탐 제단 델위기라신 냠바니 델라 안 대신이기 되긴 슬라비어레스
So it's the understanding, this meditative absorption of the suchness of phenomena is the understanding that all phenomena are empty and lack a self, an egoic self. And so all phenomena refer to the phenomena of samsara and nirvana as being free of self. So what is it then? Well, it's primordial wisdom, clear light. There's nothing other than that. There's no actually existent phenomena other than primordial wisdom, clear light. And in that, there is no self. And in that, there is no coming into being in terms of inherent existence. So there's nothing other than this primordial wisdom. And so this primordial wisdom reveals that the essence of mind is free of any kind of reference point. That there's, when you realize that there's no inherent existence and no self, what are you left with is mind's nature. Mind's nature, mind's essence, is free of any reference point. It's by misconstruing what the mind is which was the principal reason for us wandering in samsara, is because we did not know the true disposition. Neluk means the way of abiding of the mind. Its mode was not properly understood, and so therefore there was wandering in cyclic existence. But when there's the realization of emptiness, lack of self, realization of clarity, and the unceasing nature of mind, the fact that it is unborn, free of any kind of overt characteristics that one could fixate on, and free of any kind of elaboration or mental complexity, then there's the realization of the suchness of phenomena as it is, that meditation, a meditative absorption.
A number tharba gosum lakinda journey share. Ta didi gosum di karre la ngo tongbani. Ani ju sema meba. Tebu members. Dindi number sumla journey share.
With regards to this meditative absorption on the suchness of phenomena, there's a way of describing it in terms of the three gates of liberation, by attaching it to that, utilizing that model to demonstrate what's meant by the suchness of all phenomena. So firstly, the essence is empty. There's a empty essence. That's the first gate of liberation. The second one is the potentiality is free from any kind of overt characteristics. That is the cause, or the potentiality. And then the fruitioning is happens free from any kind of aspiration or wishing. It happens automatically. It's an automatic phenomenon. It doesn't need intention, and wishes don't need to function here.
Tadi ngo tongbani la hindi kaditabuji shagu gyore lana sardu se shajutabu mayimba. Ngar me sardu jung shajutabu mayimba. Ani ngema duje imba la chisu duma je imba mayimba. Ngema tongbani mayimba chisu tongbani cha shajutende mayimba. Rangshingi duma je bigi chuni. Ngo tongbar neba de la number 3 ngo tongbani is la here is.
So for the first one, the first gate of liberation, what's being said here is that the essence is empty. Now, this emptiness is not something newly introduced. Like before it wasn't there, but now we've rendered everything empty. It's not like that. It's not like there was some sort of composite phenomena and then we unraveled it, you know. No, it has always been empty. It's not some new creation. Its nature is empty. That emptiness is naturally empty. It's naturally free of any kind of composite phenomena. And so that represents a gateway to liberation. Freedom from composite phenomena.
Ta tsema meba la hindi la, ju tsema meba la hindi la. Ta ya gondo she shajugi tongbani de rangshin la. Ani ta tindri tongbani redu sambegi. Ani tseme lui ju lu deba. Ta tsema la hin ngarangzu tabo. Ani le tangbo be kansa. Tongni hamo hoken. Tongni mato hin kansa gi loyu le deba. De la tsenma meba. Tsenma la hin ngarangzu tabo lo le deba.
And so this potentiality or the cause being free of characteristics, it refers to the fact that earlier on we identified this emptiness. You know, and that's the correct state. But for a beginner, they are caught up in all these features and characteristics and attributing some existence to that. Well, all of those things that we're attributing to existence to are actually empty. And so when we say it's free of characteristics, we're saying free of the characteristics of the conditioned person. And that reality is actually beyond the intellect. So this is the potentiality being free of any characteristics beyond the intellect.
다 디다부기 추니 아니 다 추니 냠바니기 강라 다 추니 코랑기 강라 내용베스나 제불라 톱자당 톱젤린데바 아니 다디 톱자 레스 디 톱제 레 세비기 강라양 아니 가랑주기 메도 마투바 삼로당도 마투바 딘데들라 안 제부 멤버 메바스
So this remaining in the suchness of this, in a state of equality, in equalness, in that state of equality, the fruitioning happens without it having to be attained, without having to make efforts. It's beyond conventional efforts, beyond the normal way of approaching things, because being free of any aspirations, that naturally there's the occurring of the fruit without even having to desire it or wish for it. There's just a natural fruitioning of its own accord. So it's free of something to attain or not attain. It's just the natural fruitioning, which is beyond the intellect. And so that's why it said the fruitioning transcends aspirations and wishing.
다 디다부기 추니 아니 쩌바단 달와 델라 로양 쩌바단 달와샤 아니 살샤 빵렌단 달와 아니 예 데마니네 넘버 딱와 델라 아니 디시니기 띵인진
So this suchness, which is free of any elaborations, free of the intellect, there's a presence of clarity which transcends any accepting and rejecting. It simply is. And that's the fruitioning, is that realization of the clarity, which is pure from the very beginning, from the beginningless beginning. Primordially, it is pure, that clarity. It doesn't need to be created, accepted, or abandoned. It simply is. And that's the definitive samadhi on the suchness of phenomena.
아니 다 군도 나웨 띵인진 라힌디 아니 레라부지 삼로당나 닝제디 차디여레 다 닝제 라힌디 다 사사야 먹고 슈사바레 더르드나 닝제 라힌디 자주셈비기 랍자디 차디여레스
Now we have the second samadhi, which is the samadhi of the all-illuminating samadhi. And this is easy to comprehend because it's basically the expression of compassion. And Rinpoche has talked about compassion many times. But that's what we train in, right? Is the compassion, causing that to flourish. So this samadhi is all about the expression of compassion.
나 딘데기 닝지 델라야 아니 지당기 원도 땅나 셈젠라 믹비 닝제 딘데 촐라 믹비 닝제 믹바 메비 닝제 넘버 숨시에요레스
Well, with regards to compassion, There is the three types of compassion. There's the compassion in reference to all sentient beings that naturally happens. Then there's the compassion related to the Dharma, and then there's compassion which is free of any reference point.
아니 지당단다디 다 조첸기 조첸스나이다 사도 조첸기 룩다도 제송이나 인진들라야 아니 셰럽기 아니 케비림바당 다 간다르 탑싱이 탑기 인제다 셰럽기 인제스
Generally speaking, in the Dzogchen tradition, we understand compassion in two ways. There's this compassion, which is the skillful means, and the compassion, which is the sublime knowing. And they figure in the generation stage.
아니 셰럽기 인제 라힌데 겨와메바 까다기 된도에 제 아니 탑기 인제 라힌데 로아 셈제 남기 아니 된제 데라시기스
So with regards to compassion, which is the sublime knowing compassion, that happens with the realization of the unborn primordial purity. It's commensurate with that. It coincides with the realization of that. There's a wisdom compassion. And then the skillful means compassion arises in relation to having compassion for all sentient beings. As a response to that is the skillful compassion.
아테나네 아니 니제 삼로 땅용 베츠나 간디진 땅고교레 럼나 다 단기야 공도 셰셰주기 동니 근데 동닝근도 주르비기 이신 달라야 아니 미밤메비기 토네 닝진 대양 데버진밤 두버진밤 마임바 아니 랑싱기 마두바 주마타고 송도 주비기 아니 시비기 짜와 다 송와던 심바니기 세니 쥐비기 닝제 가차도 샤르와치 라섬로 땅고비어레스
So how should we think of this compassion as functioning? It serves to actualize the primordial wisdom of that emptiness, to bring it forth. That the compassion helps to is like a catalyst for the actualization of the primordial wisdom of emptiness. But the nature of this compassion is that it is free of any kind of inherent existence. It is like a magical display. It is that state of unity which cuts the root of existence. But having cut the root of existence, the compassion then is all pervasive.
아데인데 닝제 참 송진 때네 주비 닝제 가샤도 샤르와 라힌딜라 페나가라즈기 싱투베아레 싱독도베아레 대다 탐지기 천샤데 디로 디나시 시바 감송 코로아파 뚜켄디 디다부디 닝제디 샤부비아레스 덴데 삼땅고비아레스
So it says that great compassion cuts through the root of dualistic fixation and permeates all phenomena. So this great compassion has this effect of cutting through completely the fixation of subject and object. Like we would say, well, if wood got chopped, what chops the wood? Well, the axe chops the wood. And so if we were to say, well, what cuts the root of cyclic existence, the three levels of cyclic existence? Well, it's great compassion that cuts the root of cyclic existence, cuts the root of dualistic fixation on cyclic existence.
얘네 인제 첨부 천차 되기 시바 캅숨 코로기 둥알데다 탐제파 쥐어밤 존발 제비기 아니 곰바텔라 띵인진 아니 띵인진 곰바텔라야 아니 군도나위 띵인진 대나네 코란단다 다 나기 산스크리트 식자고 삼로탄 소하나 아니 카루나스
Karuna. So the weapon of this great compassion severs the root of the three levels of existence. So this is the effect of this all illuminating samadhi. It has the effect of being able to, like a weapon, cut the root of existence. And the name, the Sanskrit term for this great compassion is karuna.
아니 다다데 까마 준저 자위나네 아니 대신 군도 나वे 띵인진라 힌데 간데 잡으지 숭여래 라나 에마호 군도 상고네니스 다 내루 주니디로와 대신 안트바단 데위기 랑신 이가네 아니 동바니도 똑바 대가도 아니 인제 이율 마르자와 델라 아니 군도 나와라 땡인진 샤기어레스
In the from the long tradition, that's the Kama tradition, we have that text of the magical net, and in there it says, "How oh wondrous, the state of Samantabhadra, the state of suchness, free from any elaboration. In that there is the great compassion, the compassion that illuminates all."
아니 준조 시와기 까마기 준조 시와나네 가르숭여를라나 다 군도 나웨기 단다 대신이 텔라 간디더부지 숭여를라나 지단 대신이기 땡인지데 저범베바 쩨메기 낭도 네바 레데 아니 라신 군도 나와디 인강임바 춘이 디 낭네 네베 낭네 아니 셈젠 꾼라 아니 제와 셈젠 꾼라 닝제 아니 마 곰데샤쇼 대양 란싱기 투바 마임바 페르나 남칼라 자슨 샤르와 나신 자슨 샤르와디 ko namkhala dupsha juji rebela na chigang maro tigas char kurang jujin sowala tene shane rangshingi dupjoji shagiyo maro tedang chikba yes.
In that text on the Kama tradition, which is the peaceful magical net, it says there that with the all illuminating samadhi and the suchness of phenomena, there's a freedom in that state. There's freedom from elaboration. in that space, which is free of elaboration, that space is known as the essence, right? So in that space, which is the essence, is the nature that fills up that space. The yin, right? That dhatu, that dimension, is filled up with love, with the love of the heart. And that love, that expression, is not something that is established as something truly existent. It's not something that has inherent existence. The appearance of love out of that space of suchness is like a rainbow appearing in the sky. A rainbow appearing in the sky has no inherent existence. You know, it's not like it just popped out of the sky existing. It is a product of causes and conditions. So it's in that way, it's kind of a magical display. In a similar way, the compassion dawning from the space of suchness lacks inherent existence, and yet it is expressive like a rainbow in the sky. Can't deny that the rainbow is expressive there, but it doesn't exist inherently.
다 딘데기 닝지디 술라 공고게래라 닝지 깨사기 율람 닝지 다 곰사기 율자부디 술 공고게래라나 다 대신이기 띵인지 마토비기 강사 또 마토비기 강사 대다 아니 딘데기 샘젠 대다 탐제라 아니 최 탐제 주마당 아니 밀람다비기 아니 똑바로 제위 체도라 딘데기 샘젠 남라 네 닝지 신보디 공고게래스.
So what is the object of this great compassion that wells up from that space? What's the objective? What's the purpose of it? What is it? What's its function? What does it do? Well, it arises in the person who's meditating, and it addresses. It emanates forth for the benefit of all those individuals who fail to see that all phenomena are like a magical display, who fail to see it, that everything is like a dream. So in order that they may see the truth, this compassion wells up from space and is oriented towards those beings waking up to that realization. So for those, it's helping those people see who cannot see, or those beings see who cannot see.
tene tanda de jui tingin zin la hindi chidang ane tan tongni dang ninje nibu sungdu jukpa chila samlo tangko yores.
So with this causal, the seed potential samadhi, jui dingzing, the third one, we should conceive of it as being the inseparability, the indivisibility of emptiness and compassion itself. That represents that unity there.
아니 대양 딱 고명 베체나 아니 크로와 코르데기 다 아니 텔레야 타르와르 제위 체돌라 아니 단다디 주델라 아니 게림기 미과 게사디 사벤저고 다 소소 다 가레임바 디기 아니 게림 가레 다 공교해바 디 사벤기 이긴 남바기 수두고네 아니 똥이 야절도 마임바 닝제 야절도 마임바 똥이다 닝제 니숨메바 아니 송주경앙도 내셔주 데이터부 공부요레스.
So in the context of the meditation, when one's actually engaged in this meditation of the seed potential, it is expressly for liberating us from samsara and nirvana. So we are creating this seed, right, which represents our consciousness, our potentiality, and that seed is the seed syllable of the deity, the essence of the deity, in the form of a syllable, represents the life force of that deity. So we are contemplating that seed potential and creating the deity from that. And so it's in that space of emptiness and compassion, without exaggerating one at the expense of the other. It's without exaggerating emptiness at the expense of compassion, wiping out our compassion because it's too much emptiness, and wiping out the emptiness because too much compassion. So keeping those well balanced as a unity, one then generates the deity through that seed.
아니 대다리 임바양 단다데 도르지 셈바기 주인나니 가르숭요레라나 페나 도르셈 잡으지 곰송와이나 아니 최탐지 뉘부 메바 뉘부젠 대다 탐제다 동니다 닝제 송도 주병강네 디가네 이기기 남바 홍기 남바 대양 아니 다 계림 곰용베스나 도르지 셈바디 군도 가르부 곰고게요라 대양 홍양 아니 가르부기 남바 모샤샤죠 Tende Tabuchi, Ani Mikpa Kebatella, Ishini eating in Slaviores.
In the Vajrasattva Tantra, it says that in the practice of Vajrasattva, all phenomena which are substance and non-substance are in the state of emptiness and compassion united. In that state of compassion united with emptiness, there appears the syllable hong. Now this is about the practice of Vajrasattva. So it's a white syllable hong because Vajrasattva is white, but the hong represents the essence of that deity. So everything's going to be evolving out of that seminal letter hong, the beginning of that visualization. So it all evolves out of that hong. That's the meditation of the seed potential, is to focus on that hong as being the essence of the deity.
아니 디나 단다 도지 준비 시원하네 가르숭요레라나 시타 메베 셈니니세 다 대신 주의 띵인신들에 대다 탐제 가래 최남 균기 싸와 인세 덴데기 셈니데 이기게랑 신인세 다 이게 가래 임바디 타이 남바 가래 임바디 이게 데랑 신 스페나 도르제 셈바타고지나 퐁가고 당기 주조나신 데네 가시 제레시 더보이나 시 남바첸 잠비양 더보이나 디기 남바첸 아니 푸르바 더보이나 퐁기 남바첸 데레젠 아니 드마 더보인 소한 땀기 남바첸 데레젠 이기게랑 신이도 샤니 이게랑 신이도 곰샤죠 디 곰바델라야 나동 니스메베랑 신임발라 임바타토파 네 곰바델라 주의띵인진스
In that text known as the peaceful magical display, in there it says that with this meditation on the seed potential, that state which is free of any ground or root, which is the suchness, is the very root of all phenomena. So that state of free from ground and root is the root of all phenomena. Wherein dwells mind's nature. So one has one's mind's nature is there in that state free from any ground and root. And one's mind's nature is appearing as the syllable of the deity, the seed potential of the deity. So one's mind's nature and the seed potential of the deity are equivalent. And so one contemplates that one's mind is the seed syllable. And in the case, if one was going to generate Vajrasattva, then there would be a white syllable hung. And in the case, if you were to visualize Chenrezig, then the seed syllable would be a free. And for Manjushri, the seed syllable would be ti. And for Tara, the seed syllable would be tam. And for Vajrakalaya, the seed syllable would be hong. So in this way, we contemplate the seed syllable of the deity being the unity of emptiness and form. And that's the seed syllable right there, the unity of emptiness and form on the verge of becoming the deity. Just poised there. That potentiality is about to manifest as deity.
Adinegi, Ani Debu, Tena Temba, Chingor Chever Jevi Chedula, Ani going Yendi Karchagi, Ju, a thing in the number Sungi Kone, and the Rangi Chitipa, Mibarchegu is the agent.
So in this way, the fruitioning is that the support and that which is supported, like the mandala and then the deity, are all ripened and matured. They all grow up based on the three samadhis. So those three samadhis are a kind of a maturation factor, a ripening factor that galvanize our blossoming. Right, so ripening the immature mind stream through the three samadhis is basically the gist of this whole practice.
That the agent, any things in number Sungi Korte, Ani Tortu and the Shuba insta, Tinema, Ani Kamakashe, Ani Tuatelengen and the rest.
Jela on a tandarang.
Oh, Tandanyam.
Okay, so that completes the discussion on the three samadhis, in a brief way. So now we'll open it up for questions for a few minutes here. We'll entertain some questions.
So anybody that has questions online and in person first, anybody? Nina. Nina, if you don't mind, could you come here so Eric could hear you very clearly? Thank you. This is New York Nina, not California.
Oh, the wrathful Nina.
How did you know?
You can look at him, but also.
Okay. So I had two questions. The first is when you were talking about the 4 phases of empowerment, the second one being to utilize your own body to bring forth bliss and realization. I imagine that being meditation and maybe respecting the rights of your body as a human, but how do you do the sublime knowing phase, relying on the body of others to bring forth great bliss? Does that mean being altruistic and doing good deeds? I just wanted him to elaborate on relying on the body of others.
Dene kasa Wang Nipa Tangwang Tangwang tabla dene Ranglu la chik Tangu do Ranglu. Dene Wang Sumba Sherabia shik Wang la Shenlu. Dene mo de nangden de haku mindus.
Chidang Danda de Wang Gabla, Ane Ranglu, Tabden da Shenlu Tabden share. Ade Ranglu Tabden la Hindi, Ane Ta Sosogi, Ane Ta Nangi, Ane Ta Zatang, Lungdang, Ane Kandarian Ta Za Lung, Dela Tene, Ane Yamsu Line de la Chagiaris.
What's up? Well, to start with, with regards to the second empowerment, there one is using as a method one's own body, and so within one's body, there are the channels and then the energies that are flowing through those channels. So one is mastering the movement of those energies. One is mastering the body, as it were, yogically, and through the practice, right? So training, so that's utilizing one's own body to bring forth bliss, to bring forth realization. working with the body, training with one's own body.
아니 셴리 탑된 라인데 랑레 치르도 줄비기 아니 다 숙당 젠체라 소바 다 셴리단 terwa 미 파로보기 리단 ter샤주기
So,
딜라 알라나 파로보디앙 다 소소기 게림디 고미용 베체나 다 하케비림바디 게용 베체나 아니 한 딜라 때니 소소로 왕 슐리아 파로볼라에 미 팔바단 텐데 아이마임바 아니 글쎄 단다디 파로비기 소소기 게림 깨사기 율 딜라 때니 소소 왕레 딜라
so. So in the first part, one's relying on oneself, right? So mastering oneself. And there's a lot of training in there. And then having mastered one's own energies and so on, one then utilizes consort practice, uniting with another to receive empowerment. It's not like an ordinary union, it's an ordinary couple, but here it's the sacred vision of the other as deity and oneself as a deity, and one's receiving empowerment from the other. One is utilizing the energies that happen in that state of union to bring forth a realization of primordial wisdom. So that's the fundamental gist of it. Utilizing one's own mastery of one's own body and having done that, entering to union with a consort to enhance the experience and bring forth a realization through mastering the channels and the energies and the essences.
It looks like nobody else is jumping yet, so, yeah. I think we might have one from, I think, Estimani to translate what she did, okay. Go ahead.
What does it mean to have discontent with this cyclic existence when it comes to your mentality?
Korwala choshe saya de kandu choshe saya de.
다 코로라 촉셰라 힌데 간디도 부지레라 비어로 코로라 촉셰라 힌데 지단다 코로라 아니 기부당 대화당 대라탐제 매바 소소기 셈낭네 하고니 당아 딕송 삼바주로 에나가란조 프로와신나야다 페나가란조 레가도 부지 레기에나야 다디 레가딩알라 딕송 삼베기 소소 데바치메지 브로 아니 디나 다 코로알라양아 딕송 삼베기 다이나 코로알라 되게 맨다 삼베기 삼로 레옹데 코로알라 촉셰스 다디 마데 체도라 가르치고 유메 디디다 아니 최제나 다기에나 총잡나 다기에나 디과제나 다기에나 코로알라 마데 체도 다 딘데 삼레부터 코로알라 촉셰스
So to be discontent with samsara, the Tibetan word is korwa. Korwa basically means vicious circle, repeat vicious circle. So to be dissatisfied with that, to realize that one's attempts to entertain oneself and to become happy, end up with one, it doesn't work out, actually. One doesn't find any contentment. One doesn't find the satisfaction of one's desires, the full satisfaction of it. Instead, one finds this vicious circle, this sort of repeat dissatisfaction over and over again. So it's kind of like, it's sort of like, I've had enough. It's that feeling. It's like, okay, the torture can stop now. I've had enough. It's like you're at a job that's not very satisfying and you've been there a long time. At some point, you're kind of like, nah, I've had enough. I don't need any more of this, you know. So it's a profound realization that the vicious circle will not bring forth full satisfaction for you. And so then when one comes to that conclusion, like, okay, I've had enough, this is not going anywhere, it's just like repeat, then the next phase is kind of like, well, what do I do now? I've had enough. I'm not satisfied with this. Should I get into business? You know, we can entertain different ideas. I should do something. I should take another approach altogether. Maybe I should become more indulgent, more hedonistic, and not care about the effects of things so much. That might be an attitude. Or maybe I just need to bring it all to an end and practice Dharma. You see, so after you've come to the conclusion that it's not working out in the vicious circle, then that you have to open it up to the next phase, you know, and accept the next level. What do you want to do as a plan of action? You know, make more money, more indulgence, or Dharma? What's going to work for you? If you are fed up,
I'm going to call Carolyn next, and then Rinpoche, I think we have a few more. Okay. All right. So Carolyn, and then we'll have the question in the chat. Lama, Carol, and Lisa, and then that.
Okay. So when we look at some of the foundational teachings, for example, like the book, The Words of My Perfect Teacher, it's filled with a lot of concepts and reference points. And some of those reference points are contradictory. For example, he says, you know, your parents are so kind, they've done everything for you. But then he also says, look at what your parents did to you. They conditioned you and basically, you know, put all this conditioning and all of the samsaric thoughts in your head. Talks about karma and being reborn as something that lives under a stove and eats crumbs, or a watchdog. And then when I look at the teachings of today and also, you know, the words of Longchenpa, we realize that there are no concepts, that the state of primordial wisdom is freedom from all of these concepts and reference points. So I understand that many of the concepts that we learn along the way are tools to help us develop on the path, and they bring us to a place where we can release some of these concepts that we cling to. What I struggle with is the idea of reincarnation. So if there is no self and there's no difference between object and subject, does reincarnation really exist?
then ta lo ju ring bo do ya ni ne remember mang chawa ko yo jure ra tin nge chawa ta ningbo ti Rinpoche understood most of what you said. I'm just going to deliver the essence to him. This say do yang cher kiawa tanga so namdo me say do teni trutal teni zungzing yo mares ra ten so dongni re shas yin yang cher kiawa kan this language say do ra nga so kiawa chi langi do kiawa jama on kiawa ngoma ten chi kiawa langi do kan this language say do ra zongwe sam dang zongwe yul zimbe sam dang zongwe yul mena teni stu yang cher kiawa langi yus
Tati Tidan Danda Umagi Shung Dan Tenzuna Samlo Tana Tongi Ten La Pabion Vesena Kiawa Len Rungres Parang Shung Nan Garsung Ere Kang La Tongwa Nirunga Dela Tamje Runga Yins Tongi Rungna Kang Rungres Tongi Yores Tongi Maina Di Ani Runga Meres Kosh Mi Ken Kene Shie Yomare Kia Yomare Hotongi Marwa Yedigira, Dubdigira.
Lasa.
The
Lasa.
Yoba Dang Xie Yoba de Tony Shagioris, the image using less Ioris, let Tagayoris.
Lasa. According to the teachings of the Madhyamika, the central philosophy, when we arrive at the conclusion that all phenomena are empty, right? There's this analysis that takes place, and you dissect phenomena and you look into them, and eventually you arrive at a point where you realize that phenomena, there's no existent object that is solid and permanent, but that everything just simply is part of that emptiness, it dissolves into that emptiness, is expressed out of that emptiness. So that emptiness is rather like an open avenue, right? It's openness. It's not just empty, but there's openness. And that openness affords the possibility of things to arise or not arise. You see? That emptiness and that openness is a kind of an invitation for everything and anything to arise. See, if there were discrete objects that were truly existent, then they would just remain like that. If they were not empty, right? If they had inherent existence, then they couldn't get out of their inherent existence. That would be it. They would be restricted to being a solid object. But that's not the case. Because everything is openness and that emptiness, there is the possibility of karma happening. But because karma itself is empty and not a solid existence thing, it's eminently purifiable. It can be purified. Karma can be purified by the very fact of it being empty, by it being open. If it wasn't open, we would be closed up in a solid situation. It would be intractable because it would be defined as only that. There would only be karma and no release from karma or purification from karma. But see, karma itself is the expression of emptiness. You see? Karma itself is emptiness. And being emptiness means it can shift, it can change by virtue of its open, empty character. Can I take Chig Labna Digre quote double Chig? I've got to say something too about this as a Westerner. If you'll observe all phenomena in the West, anything and everything, that energy always continues. Any object, any phenomena that you observe, energy never exits out of reality. It just transitions into another form. Everything you observe does that. It's just that the West didn't observe the mind. The mind is also energy and it also continues too. If everything in reality continues, 99.9% of things continue, then that one thing we didn't observe properly, the mind also continues. Why not?
Question in the chat, and then Lama Carol and Lisa. The question in the chat is it possible to conceive beyond samsara and nirvana, according to the explanation? Christina.
Is it possible to conceive beyond samsara and nirvana?
Yeah, that's what it says in the chat from Christina Esteban translated.
No, that's a question. That's a question, right? Is it possible to conceive beyond samsara and nirvana? Right? Was that it? I need to know I need to know the question.
Yeah, that's it.
Something beyond samsara and nirvana.
Yes.
Okay. Dene kasa korwa tang nyangen le depa dile depa chik yung sigrebe korwa tang nyange le depa dile depa shenda chik yorebe sigdu.
Dile deba ta chidang chuy na korwa da nyangin le deba le 예 말때 코르데냠니도 똑같 요레스티 코르데냠니도 똑같 요레스티
Well, actually, everything is included in samsara nirvana. But if we want to say that there's something that transcends both of those, we would say that the realization of the equality of samsara and nirvana, their inseparability, would be that which transcends both of them. We could entertain that as a possibility.
Thank you. Lama, Carol, or David?
Rinpoche, will you please explain how our practice during this life of the Three Samadhis benefits us at the moment of death and also in the bardo?
Didn't Rinpoche, Lama Carol didn't shikshuidwa. Tingzing namba sumgi, nyamlende, chika parto ki kabla kandasa pengares, dene chuni bardo la kandasa pengares segdu. Tenyu kare yung res de ki kabla.
ताते 갑라 체네 넘버 시기 박샤 종국이 종술 셰어레 체네 넘버 시기 박샤데 종용베 세나트니 딱 소소 케네기 박샤데 파장나 아니 치가 바르톨라코 디디메 안데스나 아니 데부데 메니 코 조렘라야 레도로
Well, in the practice of the three samadhis has this effect of purifying the habitual tendencies for rebirth, the four types of rebirth. And because the habitual tendencies are wiped out by virtue of meditating on the three samadhis, our predilection for taking rebirth is annihilated, is eliminated. And not only that, the generation stage lends way to the completion stage, right? So then death will be experienced as the completion phase, dissolving into reality itself. So that is with the bardo of death and the bardo of dharmata in between, there will be the realization of the completion phase.
다 대신이기 띵인지 저부지 삼로 땅에 베스나 장자 말아서 단다 다 치가 버돌라기라 시용 베세나 아니 알아서기 수분나라 여샤저기 사추메 룽주와시기 림바디 가레젠 담보 사추라팀 추메라팀 멜룽라팀 림바 신도 남셰라 팀용 베세나 대기 아니 치로라 여샤저기 수다디로 렉잘라다 탐제양 체네 우기 주와디 체도요레스 Tindejin yarmala tene sosogita ta mabusena tene tsa umada romada changmada tinzugi nyamnen dela tembe kone sosogi jula yesha jogi ani ta dikti chawa rawagi tokbadi phagane ani tongbani gyesede ngama dela tene chima bogdengi sudu kone ani nawadang chebadang toba sumgi 아니 다 디바 락바당 대가 나신기 아니 다 데이팅도 아니 샤용 베스나 딘데기 디바디파 시용 베스나 디 방위시 냠랭기 왕도 장용 베스나 디 장자디 디 차디겨레스
So what's being purified in the samadhi of suchness is our habitual tendency to cling to our bodies and the five elements. And so having done a good job with that samadhi of suchness in one's life means at the time of death, when the elements, dissolve one into the other, in the death process, earth dissolves into water, water into fire into air into consciousness. There's a collapse of all these elements. And because one has a affinity with the suchness contemplation, on the suchness samadhi, one has a training in that, one can easily dissolve everything. Along with the elements dissolving, there's also the senses dissolving, right? So forms, sounds, tactile sensations, all of that's also dissolving too. And along with that, the channels, the left channel, the solitary channel, the right channel, the tasting channel, central channel, everything is dissolving until the point where we just have our mind's nature. Well, the mind's nature was relieved of the veil, the negative veil that comes from birth. It's already by virtue of the fact that we've done this earlier practice. So we're going through the grosser stages, and it's getting more and more subtle until we have that encounter with the luminosity of being, that Usel, right, of our true nature, the clear light of our true nature. This is experienced actually at the time of death in, we have these three appearances, appearance, right? That's the first one, that whiteness, and then increase, which is the next one, the redness, and then near attainment is that dark vision. Near attainment means you're almost enlightened. And so, if we go through this from the gross down to the subtle and then into true nature, then we've gone through everything in an enlightened way. And now we've extricated ourselves from birth. We're enlightened, at that point after experiencing those three visions. But this is all because of we're able to do this by virtue of the fact that we mastered the samadhi of the suchness of all phenomena. So it's done its job. That's how it works at the time of death.
다 장위기 시디 단다 치와 외세기 뇌네 아니 뭐시에 용베세나 바르도 메버 되네 야 바르도라 아니 뭐시네 야 돌어제바디 차디게.
And so the basis for our purification, that's the suchness, because that's been realized, then when we encounter the luminosity at the time of death, we gain liberation because we perfectly integrate with that. We recognize it. We've overcome our habitual tendencies. And so now we can have a direct encounter with that luminosity and integrate with it and become enlightened.
근데 거네 다 땡지 넘버 숨자 로커 장위기 장시 장제 장제 되고 근데 상마 요레스.
With each one of those samadhis, there's this kind of structure that they utilize when they explain it. The basis of purification, the purifying agent, the result of the purification. You see, it's broken down and discussed in that fashion.
Mm-hmm.
One more question, Rinpoche.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you.
Mm.
Right. Lisa, who was here yesterday, Rinpoche, she's now online.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Rinpoche. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Wonderful. Today you spoke of what I believe you call the Kali Yuga, the degradation of the earnestness of our practice, that despite our good intentions, perhaps we are not doing our practice on the path as it should be. And yesterday spoke of the true dedication as one to benefit all beings, not just our own personal suffering. So it would seem to me that in this time of degradation, it calls on us to more earnestly dedicate ourselves to this path
But I am wondering how, and I am wondering if it begins with the first empowerment. Do we just go back to the first empowerment, the identification with a deity, and begin there in great earnest? And relatedly, for those of us who are more beginners, is the deity chosen by one's teacher? I know that's a lot of questions in one, but I think they're related. And I hope, Eric, you if you need my help in
I hope you don't mind if I essentialize it.
please.
Yeah.
You will do better than I. Thank you.
Yeah, there's long journeys here, and maybe get to the essence here. I'll try to. Dene ra, then remember that nga tsu ni me do guitar to lessons song doa. Ni me nga ke do ka. Dene jumsen dele dene nga tsu kasa hla du gu rewe dene. Diki dok tap. Nimbo chik. Tamorang ki chua mambo tre doa. Ine nimbo tok to chik. Shia de rang re. Yidam drugu dues. Dene yidam chik drugu na. Rang sosu ki letro ki yidam su yemba kandas hago res. Kandas ngo shinga res. Tumo mayembe ki yidam de.
Laso tiwa diri be.
Dire, da tumo mayembe ki yidam drugu dues segidu. Ra.
Pe lela bu relap te nima nga dewe de la doktab la so sem dul shada ti relap sem dul na ani ko idam gel hai na era khari na ko rangshi ki tu yong relap.
You know, the main problem in the Kali Yuga, in the degenerate time, is untamed mind. That's the chief culprit. So if you can tame your mind, that's everything. Taming the unruly, chaotic, confused mind, to tame that, to pacify it. You know, then the other things will fall into place. Your yidam will show up too. Your deity will show up also. The prime objective is to tame one's own mind. That's the main thing.
Sem dul na namdok yong mare namdok masan na nyamlen chagre nyamle ya ko chanan de ni phagare dub na dub yong res ko rangshi ki kale meba.
If one tames one's mind, that means one's neurotic concepts are tamed. There's no more thoughts. If there's no more thoughts, then one's practice is really thriving. If one's practice is really thriving, that's it, isn't it? The deity comes or not, it doesn't matter. The practice is thriving. Automatically, the deity will be there.
Okay, thank you. So, Rinpoche, would you like to conclude here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, everybody. We will close. Beginning with the dedication of merit on page 20. Through this merit, they all attain omniscience and conquer the enemy wrong action. May all be freed from samsara's ocean and its pounding waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. As all the victorious Buddhas of the past, present, and future praise dedication as supreme, so now do I dedicate all these roots of virtue, that all beings may perfect good actions. By this virtue, may each and every being effortlessly reach the primordial ground, the state of Samantabhadra, free of transition and change, and become Dharma rulers, spontaneous fulfillers of the two goals. A prayer for the long life of Sechen Rabsham Rinpoche. The tradition of Samantabhadra and Tamakara is the great perfection, Zopa Chempo. For its teaching, you are a brilliant sun, beyond compare, infinite in your wisdom. Peerless great lion of the Dharma, of teaching and practice, may your secret body, speech, and mind remain steadfast and indestructible. The long life prayer for Adzam Gyaltse Rinpoche, English, Tibetan, English. Om Swati. You taught well the Dharmata, primordial unchanging luminosity. As the heart of the supreme God vehicle, illusion stands of the great chariot's primordial wisdom. Supreme Tulu, forever care for us, I pray. Om Swasti. Shinta Chinpo Yishin Chupa Choti Chukun Swasti. You taught well the Dharmata, primordial unchanging luminosity. As the heart of the supreme God vehicle, the illusion stands of the great chariots primordial wisdom, supreme Tulu, forever care for us, I pray. Long life prayer for Adzam Pela Rinpoche. Om Swasti. Embodiment of the power and blessing of an infallible ocean of refuges. Gracious Dharma Lord, guardian of the teaching and sentient beings. Glorious and excellent Pyramid Tutanjanso, unchanging ocean of Buddhist doctrine. May your lotus feet be steadfast and your actions all encompassing. The long life prayer for Jetsama. Om Swasti. Through the power of the truth of the unfolding expanse of the victors, emanation of Aryatara to Nirvana, manifesting the dance, the supreme stir of Chatsa. May
Do I just start the day?
and your actions all encompassing. Prayer for all the lamas. I pray that the Guru may remain in the finest health. I pray that the Guru's life may be supremely long. I pray that the Guru's activity may flourish and spread. Bless me that I may never be apart from the Guru. Prayer for the people of the earth. At this very moment, may the people and nations of this earth not even hear the words disease, famine, war, or suffering. May pure conduct, merit, wealth, and prosperity increase. May supreme well-being and good fortune arise always. In the prayer for post-meditation. May appearance, sound, and awareness in the state of deity, mantra, and dharmakaya merge boundlessly as the display of kayas and wisdoms in the profound and secret practice of the great yoga, and may they be of one taste, indivisible within the sphere of the enlightened mind. In all my life, may I never be separated from the perfect Guru, and having benefited fully from the splendor of the Dharma, may I perfect the qualities of the 5 paths and 10 stages, and swiftly attain the sublime level of Vajradhara. Om Vendra Sapasamaya, Manapalaya, Vedasapatinopa, Tukujumi Mebawa, Tukukaya Mebawa, Tukukaya Mebawa, Amarata Mebawa, Sabashini Mebawa, Sabakamashisame, Tukakyo Ho, Hom, Taha Haka Ho, Bhagavan, Savatagata, Vajama Memutaveda Bahamaha Samaya, Sabaka Hom, Pit. Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you.
And thank you to Eric and Esteban today. Thank you. Diego is flying, and our friends from all over the globe. Thank you for being part of this amazing teaching. Actually, the past 2 days. So wonderful. I sent out the recordings already from yesterday to everybody who participated, and I'll send out these recordings later today. So thank you, and the information to send Donna with much gratitude has been posted several times. I sent it to you in an email. If anybody has any questions, let me know. And I'll see you all at Vajrakalaya. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
I'll put you on gallery so Rinpoche can see everybody saying goodbye. You can unmute now.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Ashidalek. Thank you,
Thank
Rinpoche.
you, much
Thank
love.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you very
Stephanie.
much.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you,
Thank you.
Ashidalek.
Thank
Ashidalek.
you.
Okay, farewell, everybody.
Have a wonderful afternoon.
Take care. Bye-bye.